Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
All right, and welcome back to the Vegas Squares podcast. It is now 2020. You haven't heard from us in a while. We were enjoying all the holidays. Happy holidays, Spike.
Yeah, happy holidays. Yeah, they're basically over, but
Are there more?
Martin Luther King Day, does that count as part of the holidays when you say happy holidays?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of not to disrespect the man, but his holiday seems in no man's land like an outlier.
Yeah,
Because I have heard that between like the 16th of December and like New Year's Eve, there's like 41 different holidays throughout the religions and all that shit. I don't know, I saw it on Twitter, so it must be true.
Of course. I think Russian Orthodox Christmas is next week.
Where's Chinese New Year at?
That's a good question. That might be... I think that's coming up. It might be February.
Maybe we should just end all our podcasts with Happy Holidays, because at some point throughout the year, there's some bullshit. I mean, if there's a National Donut Day, we should have Happy Holidays every time of the year.
That's true.
Maybe that could be our thing.
Let's see if there's a National Donut Day.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm just curious when Chinese New Year is, because...
Chinese New Year is the January 25th, so that would
that's
be
after Martin Luther King Day.
after MLK.
So if we're going to include Chinese New Year, we got to include MLK Day.
National Donut Day is June 5th.
Can't wait. Can't wait. I was kind of hoping Chinese New Year was somewhere around the time. We're going to New York in February, so I was kind of hoping it was somewhere around that time. Go down to China. I guess if there's a parade, it's a holiday, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
So, all right. Well, now that you're bored, New Year, same dipshits on the mic.
Yeah. Nothing's changed, goddamn.
Yeah, exactly. New Year, same me. But we appreciate you obviously tuning in. We are still here on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. Just Spike and I going forward, so cut out all the riffraff. But
I'm not super thrilled that we cut out the riffraff prior to them paying up on their losses for the season in our contest. So,
well, I haven't officially told them.
So. Oh, that's even better or worse. I don't know which.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm lost train of that. Well, we're not the first, but let us be one of many to wish you a happy New Year. It is NFL playoff time, another holiday, Wild Card Weekend, one of my favorite, because it seems that this is the weekend more so that the dogs bark. And although the Patriots are a favorite, I generally like this 3 through 6, 4 and 5 matchups are generally closer than if they actually started like a 1 versus 8 kind of thing in the NFL. So let's put that on the back burner and thank the sponsors real quick. Obviously, 12 Ounce Sports, where we air every weekend. Seat Giant, promo code 12 Ounce Sports for discounts on sporting events, theater, and concert tickets. All right, so you brought this up before we started recording. I haven't really given a lot of thought, so I'm going to let you kind of run with the ball and listen to you. Your ear is more on the pulse of this. I'll be honest with you. And I told you this, the last 3 weeks I've just been burnt out with holidays, work, and bowl gambling, and I'm just burnt out on sports. So I haven't been following a lot of things. Obviously, if you follow us regularly, which I know you don't, we have not put out any podcasts in the last 3 weeks. But you had mentioned that this potentially could be Tom Brady's final home game at Gillette Stadium. And it's tough to wrap your head around, especially I'm 32 years old. This guy's been the quarterback of the Patriots since I was 12.
Yeah. Yeah, and for a lot of people, I mean, they grew up watching him. They grew up, not knowing anything other than a winning Patriots team, a winning team with Tom Brady. I'm 40, so I remember the times of the Steve Grogans and the time of, even having Drew Bledsoe going 5-11 and having, kind of some shit seasons.
Right.
So, for me, this has been such a blessing and a curse, which is, I know, a very weird way to say it, but it turned the Patriots from a terrible franchise with kind of a ho-hum fan base into a rabid fan base that's become spoiled and they expect everything to go their way all the time.
Well, that's the city. I mean, the city's been so successful over the last 20 years.
I mean, it is due in part to the city, but I mean, let's face it. It is
the sports
Patriot.
culture of the city. I'm sorry, I don't mean the people of the city. That's not a slight to Bostonians. What I mean is that, I mean, you look at the Red Sox. What is it? Was it 86 years?
86
between
years,
championships,
and then they won in 04, 07, 13, and 18.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and then you have the Bruins, who they won in 11.
They won in 2011,
but it was like 1991. No, that was the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean,
their last Stanley Cup was 1971.
71,
but they had made the finals in either 90 or 91. I forget which.
Right,
and then. It's kind of funny to say, but the longest championship drought in Boston right now is the Celtics, who won in 2008. So it's not like they're even so far removed from their last championship.
Oh, that was 12 years ago too. Jeez.
Yeah, it's a little nuts. But what I mean is now we're seeing a Tom Brady this year. We saw a Tom Brady this regular season, who had something like his lowest number of touchdowns since like 2003, lowest completion percentage in a decade or more, lowest quarterback rating I think ever for him, and you just start hearing the fans either wanting to get rid of him and move on, or kind of yelling about the team, and it's just. After a while, it gets kind of repetitive and nonsensical because it's like, dude, he's been at a level that almost nobody ever gets to for even a couple of years, and he's done it for 2 decades.
Right.
So to have this kind of nonsensical negativity is it's baffling to me.
I guess the first thing I wonder really is why. I mean, if Tom Brady, obviously they set this contract up and everybody speculated at the beginning of the season, why did they set this contract up this way? Have to give him an out after the 2019-20 season. But I mean, if a guy like Garoppolo was in place, or even Jacoby Brissett was in place, I could see these rumblings. But even 43-year-old Tom Brady, I mean, we saw what they had in Jarrett Stidham, and unless you're going to sell the farm to go get Joe Burrow, Tom Brady's at 43 still might be the best option to lead this team next year.
Oh, 100% is. And that's kind of why this whole thing has been really nonsensical, because the people that are trying to say get rid of him have absolutely no idea what else is out there, which is essentially nothing. There's no team that has a good quarterback that's going to want to give him up. And Brady is, even with a down year for Brady, he's still better than at least half the quarterbacks in the NFL right now, even at 43.
Now, is there anybody in the organization that's willing to discuss this, though? Because obviously Belichick is a closed door. Nobody really asks Bob Kraft about it. I mean, it's just... To me, it would be baffling. There's nothing in place. Again, they're going to be a pick in the 20s. All of the quarterback prospects that could and should start opening week next year, a la Joe Burrow, possibly Tua Tagovailoa. Justin Herbert from Oregon has upped his draft stock after his bowl game. But again, still, I mean, how much can some of these guys even benefit? Let's just say Justin Herbert somehow falls at the back of the first round. A guy like that could definitely be influenced heavily by just sticking it out one more year. I mean, if it's about, what's it about for Tom Brady? The money, or the winning, or the I can do this without Belichick? Which it's not. It's like, it reminds me of Pacquiao Mayweather. I think that was in like 2015 or 16. The fight was 10 years past. They had something to prove. Who's the best boxer of all time? But the fight was awful because they were both old. Mayweather had switched over to this defensive style of boxing to protect himself. So now, if he goes to, we've talked about 30 different teams. We've talked about the Chargers. You talked about the Bengals. if he goes to this team and for 1 year it doesn't work out, he unfortunately is going to be stuck. See, he couldn't do it, even though he's 43 years old.
Right.
And he's moving to a team that's not the one he's been with for 20 years, not as talented as the teams he's had. It just, to me, makes no sense for him to go anywhere else. He can't be franchise tagged, so basically it's up to him. And you and I talked about it. It's the question: does he want to win? Does he want to prove everyone wrong against with his connection to Belichick, or does he just want to keep playing football?
Yeah, I think part of it is that he wants to keep playing football, but part of it for him. If you look at his contracts over the course of his career, he has always taken pay cuts.
Sure.
And he's always said that he takes pay cuts so that the team has money to go out and get him weapons so that he has good wide receivers and that he has, the protection on the offensive line, et cetera, and so on. And I think this year is the first time he really felt betrayed. Because after taking pay cut after pay cut after pay cut, they got rid of Josh Gordon, they got rid of Antonio Brown. Probably justified on both of those, but they still got rid of good weapons. And the offensive line was shit, and still kind of is. And the running game, Sony Michel, for as good as he was as rookie year. Yeah, definitely regressed. So, and no Gronkowski, so he had no tight ends to throw to. So I think Tom Brady, in his mind, now thinks, okay, why have I been giving up all this money? If if I'm the best of all time, even if he doesn't consider himself to be that way, he is.
Well, I think he also had the ability to do that because of his wife.
Oh yeah, for sure. And his wife, regardless of how much money
he 4 times.
Yeah, whatever he made in the NFL, she was always going to have more money. I mean, that was never an issue. So they're never going to have to worry.
Right.
But for him, it was always. I think it was a principle thing of, I'm giving up this money, so do me a solid and get me something that I can work with, and they just didn't do that this year. And I think that's why the rumblings have started, because if he has any good years left in him, then it's he should have been able to do more than he was able to do, and the Patriots didn't do him any favors and didn't give him any weapons.
Well, let's go back to a theory I had a few months ago, or maybe even about a month ago, and let's see if we can either validate this or debunk this. My thoughts were, and I texted you about it, is there any chance that somehow this playbook is being withheld to a standard of we're about to see the annihilation of teams because this playbook will open up? I started to believe that maybe with my tinfoil hat, but watching him throw the ball has been pretty painful.
Yeah. And I've been saying this all year, there's conspiracy theories, there's this, that, and the other thing. I think he's just hurt. I think his elbow or his shoulder on his throwing arm is off.
You can blame offensive line, you can blame weapons, but I've seen catches that not even Jerry Rice is going to ever become close to.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen balls, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Those are terrible. So they're either poorly run routes, which is totally plausible, or they're decent routes that are just being wildly erratic thrown.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. And, he hasn't been on this year, but the other side of that is Brady's panicked a lot more this year than he has in years past. He'll, as soon as he sees the coverage collapse, he'll throw the ball away as opposed to taking a sack, which,
obviously contributes to his completion percentage.
Right, and to his credit, that it keeps him upright. Not necessarily a game killer if he's doing that, but at the same time, he wasn't obviously the most fleet of foot, let's say, but he could certainly move up in the pocket and get out of the way of trouble and, actually complete a pass, and he just hasn't done that this year, and I think that is more about him being hurt than anything else.
Well, fair enough. It is interesting to see. Because for many years you kind of believe, unless you're Rob Parker, you believe the dynasty's been over, which he's been wrong for 8 straight years.
Yeah, and him and Max Kellerman are doing the same thing, and this is why I can't take guys like that seriously. Is that they say the same thing year after year after year after year after year.
They're going to be right once.
Yeah, eventually they're going to be right, and they're going to strut around like they're the fucking Nostradamus.
Yeah, I mean, and you're waiting till he's 43 years old to have that happen for you. Yeah. Another crazy stat: the Patriots have not played Wild Card Weekend since 2009.
I know, it's like Dante Hicks from Clerks. I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Do you believe Tom Brady's in the Patriots uniform in 2020?
Yes.
So do I.
Yeah, for all the bluster and all the screaming that everybody's doing, I can't see him going anywhere else. And for me, it just comes down to the point of principle that Brady has spent 20 years talking about winning, talking about going out there and doing his best, doing this, that, and the other thing. What other team out there right now is a contender minus a quarterback? There just isn't one.
Colts?
I'm not.
Chargers? I still think the Chargers have. I think Phillip Rivers holds that team back.
I think you're absolutely right about that, but I think that with what he has in the Patriots, there's still better options than the Colts or the Chargers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they have a quarterback who doesn't throw to the other team 30 times a year.
Yeah, that was a rough one for them.
They somebody put a meme on Twitter that said the most embarrassing 30 for 30 episode yet. There was another meme that had Jameis throwing cocking back to throw a pass, and it said on the meme, it said, "Fuck it, someone's gonna catch it." The internet always wins.
Oh, I love that.
So, all right, yeah, I think throughout all the riffraff, we both believe Tom Brady will either be in a Patriots uniform or no uniform next year.
Yeah,
because I'll tell you what. Well, let me ask you this question.
All right.
Who stands to gain more by being successful without the other person, Belichick or Brady? Because we've seen Belichick without Brady, but we've never seen Brady without Belichick.
That's true. I think at this point, with Brady's age, I don't think he can go to another team and be successful, or at least not successful to the level that he was in New England.
No,
so,
I mean, maybe not winning. What would be successful for Tom Brady? A championship appearance, like a conference championship appearance?
It would have to be.
Because, I mean, while they won 6 Super Bowls, they also competed in, 12 conference championships or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, and they're on the quest to hit their 9th in a row if they can make it there?
If they can make it there. They got a tough road to hoe this year, though. Yes,
they do. Would this be the best Tom Brady New England season if they somehow came out with number 7 right now?
Maybe.
I mean, like you said, no one is giving them a chance. All the polls, all the pundits basically say, the way I put out a poll, and I even said, will the Patriots make their 9th straight AFC Championship appearance? And it was 80-20 no.
Ooh.
Now, granted, my poll was like 40-something votes, but I'm pretty sure that's a good enough sample size to reflect the rest of the country's opinion.
Sure, and I mean, you can even look right now. They're,
even though they're 5-point favorites today, they're probably going to be 5-6-point dogs next week.
If they happen to make it to Kansas City, they'll definitely be dogs. And right now, I mean, even as a favorite, we got most of the money coming in on Tennessee. I know this is airing on Sunday morning, so this game's already been played, but for us recording, multiple hours before the game goes off, the money's in on Tennessee. It's not a huge spread. It's only 52 or 53% to Tennessee.
Yeah.
But it's the public doesn't believe in New England right now. I don't believe in New England right now. I've got money on the fucking Titans money line.
Douche.
Yeah, I know.
We'll call it the happiness hedge just to
and
make you feel better.
I've got it parlayed with Buffalo money line too. So
fair enough.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a swing for the fences kind of thing, which is what I had to do in our contest this year, and that worked.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some. I think we got to do some revamping to it. I like the theoretical aspect of the 3 game, even though I fucking shit the bed in it. But I like just straight picking, not swinging for the fences in the.
Yeah, the bonus points with the moneyline dogs.
Well, it benefited all of us at some point.
Sure.
In time. I mean, it helped me get a big lead, and then you swinging for the fences and hitting 4 of them helped you get right back into it.
The last 3 weeks. Well, actually, no. Week 16, I got crushed on my 2 or 3 moneyline dogs. Yeah. But 15 and 17, I hit 2 of them for big points, and that kind of catapulted me
True that. So, all right, well, like you said, this is on Sunday, so if you're listening to this, you're probably critiquing us because they might not even still be in the playoffs. At least if Spike not gets his wish, but wins his bet. So let's talk about Sunday's games because that's what we are previewing here on the show. Minnesota and New Orleans is the first game in New Orleans. New Orleans obviously looking for that revenge of, do you remember the Minneapolis Miracle that passed to, was it Stephon Diggs with like 3 seconds left?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I remember watching that just like, oh, there's no chance they got this. And then dude just straight whiffs and then takes out the other guy right there. New Orleans is currently up to 8 at this point. The total is 49.5. Then the late game we have on Sunday is Seattle at Philly. That game is currently Seattle a 1.5 point road favorite with a total of 45. Right now, based on the two games, the money is on the higher seed. The action is on the higher seed. The action is on the favorite.
Yeah.
So let's start with Minnesota, New Orleans. I like the -8 in this spot. I just don't. I like the Saints actually to really go to the Super Bowl this year.
As do I, actually. And I was saying it even with Teddy Bridgewater that I thought the Saints were the best team in the NFL, or at least the most complete team in the NFL this year. And, having Drew Brees, and now that he's got his rhythm going again, he's been impressive. It is kind of strange, the way that the NFL works the playoffs is that we have a team that's 13-3 playing on Wild Card Weekend. Not something that I would expect to see all that often.
Well, I mean, if only 2 teams get buys, I mean, a division winner is going to 2 division winners play on Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah, but
now we could always. I mean, with 32 teams, it wouldn't be bad to have half the field go. I mean, especially with the parity in football. I mean, let's. I don't have standings in front of me, but let's see who missed the playoffs this year. I know Pittsburgh
at 8-8 did.
Pittsburgh at 8-8 missed. So who would have been the NFC representative that was just out of the postseason? Oh, come on.
Detroit. Oh, wait.
Yeah, not quite.
Cowboys were 8-8. Bears were 8-8. Rams were 9-7. So the Rams
would
would
have been the Rams.
Yeah.
So the Rams, well, that would have been a pretty decent representative. So theoretically, I guess you could have done that, but no, you can't have buys in that point. So division winners have to play on Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's strange to me that we've seen anywhere from 13-3 down to 7-9 playing in Wild Card Weekend in the last few years.
There was a year one time the NFC South 7-8-1 made it. And won a playoff game.
I remember that one.
That was the Carolina Panthers. So yes, it has happened.
Yeah.
That being said, I think honestly, when Kirk Cousins is playing well, I would debunk your theory and say they're the most complete team, the Minnesota Vikings. But I can't trust Kirk Cousins to play well on command.
Yeah, and that's
especially in a big game.
And that has to be why a lot of the money is coming in on New Orleans in this spot.
Right now, Covers has it 60-40 in the action in favor of New Orleans. But even this year, I mean, Minnesota beat New Orleans earlier this year.
Yeah, well, it was preseason.
I know.
But, yeah, I get you.
It doesn't really matter, but just beating them, I don't know. I realized that after I said it. I said August 9th. I said, oh, well,
yeah.
I've already said it. So
so you're just going to roll with it?
Yes. All right. Obviously, Dalvin Cook being, I would assume, back. He's gotten the last 2 weeks off. I would assume they would need him to be a factor here, to take that pressure off Kirk Cousins. Because this is Kirk Cousins. Like, remember 3 years? This is 3 years ago. I mean, 3 years ago, he signed that first fully guaranteed contract. The Vikings were in the NFC Championship. They got drubbed. They pretty much made Case Keenum the scapegoat.
Yep.
Brought in this guy who was supposed to be the savior, and if anything, they've regressed.
Yeah,
each year.
It is kind of strange, but obviously 10-6 is nothing to sneeze at.
No, but I mean, last year they missed the playoffs. I think they were 9-7 or 8-8, something like that. I mean, this is the third of 3. I assume they've got to have Super Bowl aspirations from the management staff because. Again, Mike Zimmer was one quarterback away from going to the Super Bowl. I think they have to go to the Super Bowl.
Sure.
For him to keep his job. And as crazy as that sounds, I think for both of those two guys, Kirk Cousins and Mike Zimmer, to keep their job, I think they have to go. Maybe the conference championship game, but I think they have to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think conference championship saves them at least to a point because even with the regression last year at 8-8, they did get better this year at 10-6. Cousins had a career high 107.4 passer rating, 26 touchdowns to 6 picks. So he's vastly dropped the number of mistakes that he's making on the field. So I think that I don't think they're safe right now, but I think winning a game or two is definitely going to help them out.
Maybe Tom Brady can go to the Vikings next year.
There you go. That's something.
And then you got the Saints, 13-3. A lot of credit to Teddy Bridgewater, but obviously this is Drew Brees' team. Who's under more pressure to perform, do you think, in this game? From the skill position for the Saints, is it Alvin Kamara to be able to control the tempo, or do you think Michael Thomas can basically work with Breeze? And I think Michael Thomas has more of a burden because of basically breaking the single season catch record. I think he has more of a burden to be the bigger X factor in this game, other than Alvin Kamara, because Alvin Kamara was down statistically. But still had 80 receptions and 800 yards on the ground. Right.
But I think I agree with you that Thomas is probably going to be used more often and used in a wider variety of plays than you would for Kamara. But I think that's more about this is how we're going to beat Minnesota, is that they're just going to score on them. They're going to, the New Orleans offense is just going to run the Minnesota defense crazy. They're just going to run schemes and plays and formations that Minnesota may not be ready for. And I think they get a good shot of, really going out there and causing chaos and causing the Minnesota defense to stay on the field a little too long, get winded, and then just start putting up points hand over fist.
All right, so you're picking this game.
I am. And I like New Orleans to win. I think 8 is just a little too much for me to feel comfortable with.
It is a lot.
And I think this is the kind of spot where we could see, Cousins down by, between 10 to 14 points. They get the touchdown, and then they, either can't get the onside kick or they
can't make a defensive stop.
Yeah, they can't make the stop. So I think that the Saints win by about a touchdown. So not enough to cover the spread. So I'm taking the Vikings plus the 8 in this spot.
Fair enough. I'm on the other side. I like New Orleans. I guess I'm with the public in this spot. I'm a Vegas square. I like New Orleans by 10. I also kind of dig the under in this spot. I think a 24-14, 27-17 kind of game. I think New Orleans gets the cover actually in reverse effect. I think the game's closer in that you would be covering, and then New Orleans kicks a field goal to go up by 10 or so and just kind of holds on at bay. But so it'll be an interesting game. Actually, of the Sunday games, this is the one I'm most looking forward to watching. All right, let's move to the wild card game at night. Seattle at Philadelphia. And have you ever seen? I know we see it every year. It's like a team. I guess we've seen it with New Orleans and Seattle. A team that's 11-5 could have won the division the week before. Actually, lost the division by about that much.
Yep.
And now they have to travel all the way across the country to a 9-7 team that basically in a division that we said whoever can just not throw up the most is going to get a home playoff game. And I told you I thought the NFC East was going to win a first-round playoff game. I don't know if I can still feel that. I like Seattle in this game. I would like Seattle a lot more if they had Carson and Penny. But yes. I liked what I saw out of Marshawn Lynch. I really did. I mean, coming, 2 years out of retirement or 1 year out of retirement?
Yeah.
Did he play last year?
No.
Did he play for Oakland last year?
Was it last
2 years
year?
ago?
I think it was 2 years
Point being
ago.
is he hasn't played at all this season.
Yeah.
And I thought he ran particularly well. And I actually liked the other guy, too, Travis Homer. I think they have maybe instead of an A game with Carson and Penny, I think they have probably a B-plus game with these two guys. And we'll still talk about it, but I'm on Seattle, even laying a point there on the road.
Yeah, well, and I think Seattle's offensive line is helping them out. Russell Wilson being able to scramble and get out of trouble is helping them out. So, it's keeping the defenses honest. It's not letting them get the pressure into the backfield, and I think that is really helping Seattle run the ball and be successful on offense. Because we saw that against a really fucking good San Francisco defense last week in order to get into this game, even though obviously the Seahawks didn't win, like you said. It was yay much that they missed it by.
Yeah.
So the Eagles on the other side, though. I mean, how can you rule out Carson Wentz at this point?
He's playing great.
He's
Absolutely.
playing unbelievably right now, even with injuries to the point where he's asking the rest of the fucking offense to wear name tags so he knows who these people are. He's still he played wonderfully, and against a Giants team that should have come out and tried to win a final game for Eli Manning. Wentz just ran him over, and I think this was a big statement game for them, and I think they've got the momentum and they're rolling right now. So
yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that obviously click against them. Obviously, this is Carson Wentz's first start, which sounds weird because Philadelphia just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah,
but we all know the story there. While I don't love the injuries to the Seahawks running backs, Miles Sanders is. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if he plays. He's got a high ankle injury. Alshon Jeffrey's probably going to play. Ertz is questionable. I don't know. I do like that Boston Scott guy. He's been a decent little scat back, kind of that Darren Sproles role.
Yeah,
that's hard to say. But they're also getting Jordan Howard back. I think this game competitively will be the best of the weekend. I do believe that these teams. It all goes with the quarterbacks, and I'll take the experience, and obviously I'll take my man crush Monday and go with Russell Wilson. I know. Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, I'm just...
You're just mad because your man crush Monday is Andy Dalton.
Actually, I'm kind of digging on Boston Scott, too, only because he's short like I am, so I always appreciate...
5'5".
Yeah, well... Covers says listed generously at 5'6", so
he's 5'3".
Yeah,
it's like the Muggsy Bogues of Philadelphia.
So I always appreciate the little guys like that. It's like on the Golden Knights. My favorite player now is Jonathan Marchessault, and if you look at the roster, it's like all these guys 6'2", 6'4", 6'1", 6'2", 6'4". Marchessault 5'8".
Yeah,
okay.
I don't even know if he's 5'8".
Probably that was probably with his skates on.
Yeah, that's Covers probably lists him generously at 5'8" too. All right, so what do you see kind of this game going down?
So I think I'll start with this. I think this game has a better shot of going under than the New Orleans and Minnesota game. Okay. The total on this one's 45.
I would agree with you with weather and turf and all that stuff.
Yeah, when they met up this year, it was 17-9, the Seattle victory. So we're looking at, and these are two teams that obviously Philadelphia has a lot of injuries. Seattle has a lot of injuries. It could be the kind of game, especially at the beginning, where nerves kick in, the unfamiliarity with quarterback and weapons kick in. So we could see a lot of 3-and-outs or stalled drives to start the game. It may pick up later in the game, which would kind of push it more towards the over. But I think it stays under for the entirety. But I'm with you in this spot. I think Seahawks. I don't think they roll, but I think they win this game, and I think Philadelphia plays catch up the entire time, and I just don't think they ever come back.
Yeah, I really think competitively this will be the closest game. I really think that that 1.5 point spread really makes me believe this game's 3 points either way, and you're looking at a spot where Vegas would tell you that on a neutral site, Philly's the better team. Although I don't know if I agree with that, but you can't count them out. They've won the last 4. Like you said, Carson Wentz is throwing to guys that still have Scotch tape on their helmet. Just like you said, so you could know their names.
Yep.
Greg Ward was a quarterback at Houston, and he was on the practice squad most of the year, and he has become the new, I wouldn't say go-to receiver, but he's become the new fail-safe target for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, if he stays healthy, will be great in this league. I'm just not ready to give him that edge even at home over Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson, I give him a little more credit to just find a way to win. And Seattle has a lot of close games. They're 7-1 on the road, straight up, 5-2 against the spread. I know they have a lot of close victories. Their home record isn't great, but again, even in close victories, the NFL's so tough to find a way to win, and winning in, you could argue, maybe the best division. Are they the only division with 3 teams over 500?
They might be.
Yeah, you could argue they're the best division in football. So I could be wrong about that, but I think they might be the only division with 3 teams over 500.
Yeah, NFC North had 2, and then the Bears went 8-8.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the only division with 3 teams over 500.
So, I mean, getting wins in that division is tough, and with the good road record, like I said, I don't think there's a blowout in this game either way. I think this game is literally field goal one way or the other. I'll take a more experienced quarterback, and that's where I'm going with this. I don't really have a thought on the total. You're right. The weather is probably going to err this on wanting to take the under, and it's already come down a point. So, by that logic, you take the over.
Yes.
27-26.
There you go. Let's see. Yeah, I think you're right. This is going to be a fun, competitive game. I think this is going to be a grind 'em out game, and I'm curious to see what Wentz can do in the playoffs because we haven't seen it yet, even with Philly's Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they were playing Minnesota, I'd be rooting for them, but not against Russ.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Russ advance.
Yeah, that's your boy right there.
Yep. If they advance, then more than likely they're going to be playing Green Bay in Green Bay. That sets up a pretty fun matchup.
That's going to be nice.
Yeah, and no, I guess New Orleans would play Green Bay, right? And then Seattle would play. Who the hell's the number 1 seed? San Francisco. We get a rematch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Either way, whoever Seattle plays could be a fun game. And Seattle, by beating them and having New Orleans win, might have a better path to the Super Bowl. So it'd be interesting. Maybe the 5 seed wasn't so bad, except because they're good on the road, and they've beaten San Francisco on the road.
Yeah,
you never know. It's weird. You never quite know. So, all right, that's our thoughts on Sunday's Wild Card Weekend. Obviously, if you're listening, you can hit us up on Twitter at Vegas Squares to give us your thoughts as well. So, Spike, who are your Super Bowl representatives at this point? Even though we've already got. So since we're recording this on Saturday, we don't know the Saturday results.
Right. So
don't kill us.
We're going into this blind.
Yes, at least Saturday's results.
Yeah. So we may be off, but as much as I have been dying for a Tom Brady versus either Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees Super Bowl, like that would kill me. I would love nothing more than to see Brady against Garoppolo in the Super Bowl, but I think this Baltimore team scares the ever-loving shit out of me.
I also believe, and again, I'll put my tinfoil hat on, we've had these conversations, I believe the NFL has an objective to get Lamar Jackson in prime, in like the biggest stage.
Yeah, and that tinfoil hat or not, I think they can. I think they have the talent.
Yeah,
to get
they have the talent to get there by themselves.
I mean,
if we start seeing funky ass calls, just remember this conversation.
I mean, we saw them. Pittsburgh, even on quarterback number 4, wide receiver number 7, whatever other fucking spare parts they picked up.
Yeah.
They were a very good team, and Baltimore just beat the crap out of them with backups.
Yeah, I mean, backups aren't really going to be playing in the playoffs, and but anybody who's in this playoff bracket is better than Pittsburgh. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's to me they are just too good, too strong, too fast. So I think it is going to be a Baltimore-New Orleans Super Bowl.
Okay, I mean, I can see that. Yeah, I like what Buffalo's doing. I've ruled them out. Houston. Too roller coastery, and that game against Baltimore really shows me I don't think they can compete with them, so I ruled them out. Tennessee may be able to get through this weekend, like they did a couple years ago against Kansas City, where they came all the way back. Mariota throws a touchdown pass to himself. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah,
the one that almost got Alex Smith run out of town and almost got Andy Reid fired. Ultimately, I don't think they can win a Super Bowl. So yeah, I think I'm going to go, it's not what I want to see, but I think I'm going to go Kansas City and New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kansas City wouldn't surprise me.
No.
I think Baltimore is the correct pick here.
Yeah, I think New England gets, again, this is speaking the day after, I think New England gets by Tennessee. I had a bet on New England minus the 4.5 before we went up to 5. I didn't touch anything about that Buffalo game. I just don't know which way to lean.
Yeah.
Houston's terrible at home in the playoffs in their history. They're also below average at home this year against the spread, 2-6. And Buffalo plays good defense. I just don't know if they're offensively firepowery enough to win.
Yeah,
to actually outright win this game, even though they're 6-0 on the road against the spread.
And
6-2 up, straight up.
Deshaun Watson can outrun basically anybody on Buffalo's defense too. So
yeah, again, like I said, I can't figure out what Houston team is going to show up. That's what that's what dissuaded me from taking anything on that one. So, all right. Well, that's going to wrap it for us. We hope you enjoyed. We appreciate you listening. We're going to thank the sponsors, 12 Ounce Sports Radio and Seat Giant, promo code 12 Ounce Sports for discounts on sporting events, concerts, and theater tickets. And I guess we'll see you in divisional week. Maybe we'll have to record 2 podcasts that week.
Oh, there we go. Get 12 Ounce Sports to air us twice.
They've done it before.
Yeah.
I think Saturdays and Sundays are a lot of open time slots, so I think we'll be good.
Okay, good. Yeah, and then we can actually do some previews of those games before they actually happen.
What do you call it? Oh, review. I was like, what's the word for when you're? Is there a word for when you're previewing a game that's already happened? Because we kind of just did that.
I mean, I think that's like a Biff Tannen from Back to the Future 2 type thing.
Yeah, I got my almanac. McFly. All right, we're out of here. We'll see you next time.